Alrighty, price check. I haven't done an actual price check since the days they had the quadrants and were promising, it was all bullshit, that they had a plan. They didn't. Spoiler alert. And that infamous November patch where they were like, it's the dawn of a new era, and you're like, wait, you were nerfing things and then you just got bored and rushed the ending like season 8 of Game of Thrones. It's like, really? Were you doing that much coke? God, fire the writers. Anyway, so we have an opportunity here because I'm interested, finally, in what are the mineral prices? Like, what are they like these days? I haven't checked forever. I don't give a crap. But I'm just curious. It's like, how's Tritanium? What's it doing? Alright, it spiked in... I'm sure it wasn't last year when they released, or was it? No, it couldn't have been. That does look suspiciously like the November 9th. No. Was it only a year ago? I'm sure I gave up doing prices during the quadrants. I'm pretty sure. God, was it really just a year ago? Jesus. All right, let's go search this. Got 2 monitors. Let's see. What we got? What was it named? A New Dawn? Was it A New Dawn or something? Or the Eve or something stupid. A New Dawn's line expansion. I think it was expansion. They were like, oh, we're gonna, new quadrant. That was it. New Dawn, new quadrant. There it is. November. Okay, so 2021. Got it. November 9th. So exactly a year. Actually a year before that. Okay, so that was just, I don't know, somebody protesting? Some trillionaire protesting? Quadruple trillionaire protesting? 18 billion. Yeah, it's okay, a trillionaire. There you go. Wow. Did anything else change? I'm sure it did. Let's get pyrite. Yeah, interesting. Kind of interesting, isn't it? It definitely looks like a market manipulation by somebody, because if it was a across-the-board thing, it would have tracked across. But it could have been something CCP introduced. Let's check it out. Expansions. I don't know. Maybe it did. Expansion Eve Online 2022. Uprising was September 22. Wait. I think I found it. Uprising expansion 8th November. Okay, so exactly a year after that they released it. Okay, so it was Uprising. I'm gonna play it. It's gonna be uninformative, but it might have something.
Legion is still coming to terms with the catastrophe in the system of Turner, with devastation on a staggering scale.
Initial estimates of fatalities are reported to be in the millions, with complete loss of life on Turner 1.
Evidence points to the catastrophic failure of the Amar-built stellar transmuter, sparking condemnation across New Eden.
Further increasing tensions between the Minmatar Republic and the Mar Empire are now at breaking point, witnessed by a sharp escalation of skirmishes.
Diplomatic negotiations between both sides have all but collapsed.
Broadcasting live with shocking scenes of Federation ships invading Intaki and neighboring systems, this is a major developing situation amidst the current turmoil in New Eden.
My fellow citizens, the time has come for the Federation to rise and liberate Intaki, to recover what is ours. These worlds and the people of
the Kaldari state are being slaughtered in this outrageous invasion. We stand ready to confront any aggression against the state,
and the combined military of the Minmatar Republic will repay our enemies in kind for this mass murder, for it is the
sacred obligation of every subject of Holy Amar to reclaim the stars and rise up for your empire.
It's actually a pretty good video. Yeah, so I assume the introduction of the, I believe when he introduced that it was the faction stuff? No. Anyways, the faction war thing. So that blew up right then. So, okay. So it might have been market manipulation, but it was on the cusp of Uprising, one of the major expansions. So it was exactly a year later. So it wasn't a protest. Trillionaire. My bad. Yeah, you just fact check yourself. You go, make an assumption about what's going on. But well, wait a minute. What if there's CCP actually did something exactly a year after, right? Yeah. It's hard to get away from the narrative that it was a grassroots thing. It's hard, especially after Summer of Rage, because that you got to realize that that's always been hyped up and constantly hyped up by CCP and their shills. That it was the players who made this protest and blah blah blah. No, it was the mismanagement, and Hilmar used the Summer of Rage, dressed it up sexy as an excuse to hand out the pink slips. So he didn't take any blame himself, he blamed the players. So don't fall into that trap. But it's a seductive narrative. And it's a populist narrative. So it's hard to get away from that. So anyways, back to what I'm looking at. So, okay, Mexilon wasn't affected that much. It was Tritanium, the lower end. That's kind of cool. What are we looking at here? Okay, a drop. Okay, there was a drop. Where was... Okay, there it is. 709, right there. Okay. Huh, interesting. I gave up on industry a long time ago, so I can't speak to it. So the next up is... Let's see. Been a while. Where is it? Okay. So kind of started to go up. So it was Tritanium, Pyrite, and Noxium. Let's go for Citrine. I have no idea what that is. Okay. Okay, parchment thing. Okay, well, didn't know. Good to know. whatever. Zydrine, and doesn't look like it was affected at all, really. You know, not really. Price went down, actually. And would the same happen for Megasite? Nope. Slow climb from... It's disastrous. Disastrous fall. Okay, so... You're right. Slow climb. Alright, there you go. Really not interested in getting back into doing what I did in the past. I'm just so not interested. Let's try to get this. I like to get the squares. I like to make it a square thing as much as possible. I feel it gives you the best sense of what's going on. Yeah. When this happened, it's a definite market manipulation. So somebody was speculating on the pyrite and the titanium. There's that up for sure. You didn't really see it on the others because, you know, they're more expensive, harder to manipulate because, you know, people aren't that rich. Lol. Or it could be something else. Like I said, it could be that the changed demands on titanium pyrite for whatever crazy reason CCP thinks up. I no longer believe them when they say they have a plan. So it's just like, oh great, you know, the game is improved by fluke, not by design. A friend told me that a few years ago, or maybe only a couple of years ago. Time flies when you're having fun playing other games. So yeah, ice products. I'm only going to be looking at helium because it's the only one I understand. Ooh, something spiked there. What was that? December 2022. Interesting. Going back down, of course. Equinox zone. Up and down. Whatever. Whoops, wrong one. And Straunt. Straunt's up. Probably Tech 2. Capitals, right? Probably. The Lancers. And I wonder if the Lancer uses Straunt. I'm assuming it would use something, right? Anyways, whatever. Neither here nor there for me. Anything else that I usually look at? I'll usually look at the planetary stuff. Nope, none of that. And specialized robotics. I'll usually check out robotics. Going up. Huh. Up and up. Interesting. Let's check coolant. Enrich uranium, the stuff that makes fuel blocks. That's all I'm interested in. Mechanical parts. Alright, kind of on the up and up. That's kind of cool. Alright. That's neat. And anything else? I don't think so, honestly. What was really fun when I only did it once, and I was planning on doing it year after year. What was the highest? What was the most built frigate, cruiser, battleship, etc.? Right? Just go through the numbers and check it out, and have fun with that. But yeah, that was stillborn, unfortunately. Jesus. Yeah, CCP just randomly decides to screw things up just because conflict creation, but they have no idea. Like, you look at the let me look it up. I'll show you right now. It's just disgusting. Their quadrant plan, the whole industry plan, right? Economy, yeah, right. Economy, CCP, no, Eat Online. Monthly economic report, yeah. Lol. Balanced, right? Balanced. Balanced economy, I think. Trying to find it. Where is it? Redistribution. Austerity. Austerity plan, right? No, that was New Dawn of the Age of Prosperity. That was that new. Open some big news. Come on, I'm reading a blog here. Spare you from me scrolling. From extraction to production. Just working backwards to their old. Okay, dev blog economy, right? E Online. Online dev blogs new. Outlook, right? Ecosystem Outlook, is this the one? Yes, abundance breeds complacency and scarcity breeds war. Yeah, apples and oranges, pears. Let's just, healthy state, right? The healthy state, and right. Here it is. This is the one. Let me scroll back up. Oh my god. Lol. So, this was the death knell of Eve. Right here. When CCP thought they drive conflict by what they do in the game, it doesn't. You look at the production and loss, the loss and production scales, the destruction and production stuff they'd love to brag about. If you look at the numbers, the amount of conflict tracks exactly with, and I've made a video about it, with the population of Eve. The daily blah blah login counter, monthly login, it doesn't matter what the terms they blather with, but basically you look at the Eve offline track and then you match it with conflict and loss, exactly tracks with that. It's got nothing to do with what CCP does or says or pretends to believe, or their marketing team. Like, their marketing team writes this, and the marketing team drives their development. Ugh. Like the worst of Blizzard, right? Or should I say the best of Blizzard? Yeah. The worst, the lowest Blizzard can get is the best that CCP can aspire to. I know, right? So it's like, how many management teams in the world right now have suffered because Trump got in office? Like, the guy gets the Teflon, Reagan was the Teflon Don. This guy is too. Is he going to get away with everything? Is it going to just be bullshit? This empowers liars and bullies. And lying is super easy. I mean, I'm going to play you a clip from, just because it dovetails so nicely with this.
Yeah, I don't judge my mom, though, you know? She did the best she could. She raised us, you know? She didn't have a lot of money. My mom would take us shopping. She would always buy the shittiest crackers. The worst. She would buy us these saltine crackers with no salt on them. Like they were saltless saltine crackers. And you could tell they actually made them saltines and then used a credit card and scraped off the salt. And I would say to my mom, why do you buy those? They're disgusting. And she said, well, then you won't eat them and they'll last longer. If I buy the good crackers, they'll be gone in 3 days. But the bad ones last for weeks. What the fuck kind of way is that to raise a kid? Just give them wood chips and... It's tough, man. It's hard being a parent. It's really complicated having kids. So shut up. Don't do it. You're boring. My daughter just figured out lying. And that's an interesting thing. It's an interesting place to be. She's figured out how to lie. My 9-year-old, 10-year-old, doesn't matter. Really doesn't. It really doesn't. I look at her face, I don't give a shit what age she is. She's that. When she lies, I know she's lying, because all kids suck at lying. But when I don't really know what to do about it, to be honest with you, because I want her to be an honest child, but I also want her to have a good life. And I get lying. I get it. I do it all the time. And I have since I was her age, so I totally get it. When she lies, it's because she's in trouble. That's why kids lie. Little kids, little 9-year-old kids, they don't lie because of some weird Machiavellian, you know. Do you know what my teacher said about you? It's interesting. Like, she's not trying to start some shit. Kids lie because they're in trouble. Because trouble is too much for a kid. Kids can't take trouble. We're grown-ups. When we're in trouble, we just go, oh, sorry. Oh, am I in trouble now? Whoops. But for a little 9-year-old kid, trouble is like a monster. Just, did you take the chocolate? Did you take it? No. Well, all right then. Have a nice day. How do you then tell her, yeah, don't apply that perfect method ever again to terrifying moments of your life? Mark Twain once said, a man who always tells the truth doesn't have to remember what he said. Mark Twain said that. That's pretty cool. But Mark Twain also said, there once was a big black guy named Nigger Jim. So I don't know if 100% of the things Mark Twain said were perfectly awesome. I mean, seriously, Mark, you couldn't come up with a better name than Nigger Jim? Well, it's got a nice ring to it. Yeah, but it's kind of on the nose, ain't it? You know what I was thinking about today?
So yeah, the gist of it is lying solve everything. And yeah, it does. And I can't believe how many management teams do that. Because it does. It solves everything. And yeah, the whole BS about, oh, we're just going to have this amazing... And it's like, you're marketing. You don't know a clue how this game plays. I mean, Jesus, the guy, the Rat-a-Tatty, he was in charge of freaking Dust 514, or whatever the name it was. You know, he survived this long in CCP because he kissed Helmar's ass. Alright, so, back to the actual topic at hand. Yes, the stage is set. Blah, 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 blah. Current state, healthy state. We want to get to a healthy state. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, because it was too much income. You guys were making too much, so we just nerfed the hell out of it, and we're going to eventually get it there. But... November... just a year later, we're bored. I mean, how was it? How much? It was... Wait. Yeah. 2021 was when they got bored with it. So exactly less than a year. They didn't even make it a year after this devlog. Before they were like, we're bored. They dropped the entire idea. Yeah, whatever. So its current status here, they boosted the output, and I'm sure it's like, they don't know what a healthy state is. So it's like, whatever. It's definitely not, like, maybe it is. It just, does the nullsec blocks, there's no, this is meaningless. This happy little graph here with the nice little symmetricals, bullshit. Into the future, blah, 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 prognosis. So, okay, so this is where, like, projected trend, recent actions, commentary, blah, blah, blah. They want to get, where is it? Yeah, whatever, current state, blah, blah. I think this is kind of like their grading system, or blah, blah. Botting inclusion. No, it's not this one. Where the hell is it? They had an earlier one. That was just bonkers. Where it wasn't as much... They had a graph like this, but it went this way, and they were like, you guys are doing this. This is where we want to do, or this is where we were, this is where we currently are, and this is what happens when we do this. And it'll drive conflict, and it's just, you're like looking at it now, and it's like, this is total bullshit. So I'll quickly go through and find it for you. Where is it? There it is. Okay. No, wait. Is it this one? Let me make sure. This is an earlier one. Right. Jeez, there's so many of these bullshit things. Here's another one. This looks almost exactly like the other one. So this was done in the beginning of the year. This was done at the end of the year. And, right? Oh my god. So yeah, their mission, their vision, and their goals through nurturing. So they believe that this is pair, and they wanted to get to pair. But what they did was, this is our current state, apple, and this is what we're going to do, orange, and it's going to nurture conflict, pear. And you look at it and you're like, that's apple, oranges, pears. What the fuck, right? So, all right, so AAA. Yeah, Jesus. Greed is good. Get those AAA bonds. Okay, so cheating a bit, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking for... Right, so upcoming actions. And this is what they're going to do to address it for the conflict indra. So this is what they're going to do to drive conflict. And you look at it and you're like, that doesn't drive conflict. It doesn't drive conflict. It drives it will shape where the conflict is, but it's always being the moons. I mean, if you want economic stuff, you do the moon thing. And that's pretty much where the bread and butter is now that I don't know nullsec industry very much, but I know lowsec industry a lot, and it revolves around moons. You get massive income from moons. So yeah, dicking around with moons. Okay, well, all right, you reshuffle where some of the moon R64s are, but basically the R64 and the R32s are where the action happens to mine, and that addresses conflict. But this doesn't do a damn thing to drive conflict. What they wanted, their intended vision of driving conflict, of them making more conflict, making more fun, making more stuff to do in Eve that was fun, and drive conflict, because why would you want it to screw with the system currently if it's fine, right? What was their problem? They said, oh, it was too prolific and everybody was happy and safe and nobody wanted to fight and blah, blah, blah. And we're like, that's not it at all. Conflict is because of population count, not because of anything you do. And they were like, we're going to improve it. And it's like, yeah, but maybe, sort of, kind of, but this isn't the way to do it. And this is just bananas bullshit right here. Just to the point of marketing. Let's just take a random, let's pick that one, diversity. I haven't actually read, well, actually, let's go straight to it, conflict index. And I'm quoting, and I won't say anything snarky till I finish. Another desire is to add conflict drivers through the distribution/availability of resources/activities. Wow. Period. In doing so, we would distribute the universe population so that there is less empty space and fewer overpopulated, guarded, and safe systems. This will lead to increased trade, movement, and conflict. Period. So they're going to fix it, they claimed, by removing almost all T1 moon minerals from normal and wormhole moons. All right? I believe they removed all of them by now. Pretty sure. New uses for some T2 moon minerals, and add new uses for some wormhole and planetary resources. Great. Okay, so structures, asset safety changes. Asset safety changes. That was the abandoned state, wasn't it? When did they introduce abandoned state? Yeah, I mean, lying, these people lie, and they don't care. There's no, what consequences for lying is there? Look at Trump. Are there any consequences to lying? You just translate that to your local employment area where you're working, and managers lie all the time. And sure, politicians lie. That is, like, we didn't need Michael Moore to tell us that the system was corrupt. I mean, he reinvented the wheel and just pandered it to the liberal tards. But it's like, it's bullshit. Yeah, politicians lie all the time. They do. It's probably part of their job. But just expecting that lying is just perfectly fine is just like, that's why the sergeants run the military. Jesus. So, anyways, abandoned state Eve online. When did that get introduced? What did that get introduced? Did they think that was going to be a conflict? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, man. Forsaken Fortress made, they did. Jesus. Yeah, burning down the house. You did a great job, CCP, burning your own house down. Jesus. But yeah, they're just lying. They just make shit up and then make new rules. And they're like I've said many times before in the past, when they perceive themselves as irrelevant, they have a temper tantrum and throw the toys out the pram. That's pretty much the entirety of what CCP does. And by fluke, when they do that, they improve the game. And the developers who work there, the good ones, know that if you make it really difficult to rip out the code you're working on, CCP won't bother ripping it out. They'll try to, but they can't. So I believe the good people at CCP, they're, sergeant, run the military. I do believe even now there are good people in there doing good work, and they make it so their code can't be ripped out, or at least it's invisible to the idiots at CCP who are running it. The marketing team. So yeah, it's and I think I do believe I have. Let me check here. Forgive me if I do. Okay, act man, intentions down 4. I'm gonna play something. I'm gonna hope I get it. It's only like 3 minutes long. Well, maybe this 30 second. I'll check the 30-second clip. He made a comment about what the marketing team drives development, and it might not be these videos. Let me check.
So in a nutshell, my playstyle eventually developed into, okay, I'm skipping chests because those are worthless. I run through all combat in the open world because it's unnecessary. If gold isn't in my path, I don't go back for it. I skip through sections of dungeons so I can complete them faster. I skip dialogue and side quests so I can grind the renown faster. I don't go into the cellars anymore, and it's just like, dude, I'm just skipping the game. I'm just skipping past all this shit. This is the game. Viewing Blizzard's decisions with Diablo 4 through the lens of maximizing player retention and revenue, then everything falls into place. It all makes sense.
So if you were a product person, you couldn't change the course of that company very much. So who influenced the success of PepsiCo? The sales and marketing people. Therefore, they were the ones that got promoted, and therefore they were the ones that ran the company. It turns out the same thing can happen in technology companies. So the people that can make the company more successful are sales and marketing people. And they end up running the companies. And the product people get driven out of the decision-making forums.
And later we find out that they had dramatically slashed the budget for Warcraft 3 Reforged to almost nothing. And it's pretty clear to me that it came from the top, maybe even Kotick directly. They screwed the game that we all wanted to see for money because they thought there was no money in this.
And the companies forget what it means to make great products.
Have you ever thought about adding servers for previous expansions as they were then?
No. And by the way, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't.
Sort of the product sensibility and the product genius that brought them to that monopolistic position gets rotted out by people running these companies who have no conception of a good product versus a bad product.
We want to use mobile devices as the platform for a new Diablo game.
They have no conception of the craftsmanship that's required to take a good idea and turn it into a good product. And they really have no feeling in their hearts, usually, about wanting to really help the customers.
So my theory is Blizzard knew players weren't going to react well to some of the changes they made in the patch. So to keep some hardcore players invested, they used the dark pattern to trick them into redeeming the battle pass.
Oh shit. Fuck. I was trying to click Season Journey.
Like the first time I got in a Legendary in an internal build, I did this. I accidentally dismantled it because we didn't have any safeguards. And I was so angry. I was ready to go over and punch somebody on the UI team.
Well, I guess I have the fucking battle pass now. God damn it. That is fucking sneaky, dude. That pisses me off so much. I might as well claim all my fucking rewards.
You might as well redeem those rewards. You might as well grind out the rest of the battle pass, cause oopsie doopsie, Looks like you redeemed it, fella. Better keep playing Diablo 4. Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop playing this game ever for any reason. Keep playing. Old Blizzard is dead. And if you're like me, it's time you finally realize that.
Well, Blizzard is dead. It is a corpse. It is a corpse being puppeteered by Activision and Bobby Kotick. And it's going to be used as basically a factory to put the Blizzard stamp on things and stoke nostalgia to get sales. And that's it. That's it.
Running out of storage space is an issue that 100...
And there you have it. Yeah, it's just they haven't a clue. And they just don't understand their customer base. I mean, just the unending condensation. Condescension. Yeah, actually, give me a sec. Alright. Air conditioning. Yay. Sorry for the buzzing in the background now. Yeah, but it's just condescension. Just the overweening condescension of this just blows me away. Just every time you read it, it's never, ever, dear customers. When Hillmore did the apology letter to us about how he screwed up, yep, right, whatever, he used dear followers or something like that. It's always fans, followers, and it's never dear customers, where because they just, like the Ackman said, there's just no, or maybe Ackman quoted Steve Jobs, it's just there's no concept to these people for their customers. It's just simply it's just a chit. You're just a cipher, and they don't give a damn at all, and that's fine. I mean, I'm not trying to depress you guys. I play the game. I take bits out of the game that I can play and role play enough that I feel like I'm contributing to my community, my local community that I'm loyal to, in a way that is fun, that takes advantage of all I have to offer, as in I multi-box because I loved mining, and having 4 miners, a hauler, and a booster was just the perfect optimization without getting crazy. You know, you want to have fun, you want to take advantage of your booster, and you want to take advantage of your hauler, and 4 miners to 1 hauler and 1 booster is just the perfect combination. And 6 can be run on a pretty potato computer these days. It's my computer's like 3-4 years old, and it was like economy style gaming computer from like Best Buy. And yeah, it wasn't there were no integrated components in it, but yeah, it's what I can get away with playing, what I'm comfortable with playing, and if I got a better computer, I'd probably still run the same amount, but at better graphics quality, right? So I'm happy doing Pirate Strongholds because it takes advantage of everything I've got. I would play the game more instead of just grinding like a few days a month to do my skilling farm. I don't train my characters anymore. I use the one free training queue to just skill farm and then prop up my accounts to Omega so I can contribute to my local community. And I enjoy doing that while mining, and I had way more fun doing it. But CCB just ripped the core out of it by just stupidly dealing with warp core stabilizers. I mean, warp core stabilizers sucked, and they overhyped it about, oh, the botters are doing it. It's like, okay, so a single player can't come in there and gank botters easily. Oh, And it just completely ignores the entire point of what happens when the PvPers, the griefers, whine about worker stabs. They can stack points on a target. That target only has only has a certain amount of slots. So once you've run out of the slots and you can't put any more, they can put infinite points on you, or just stack multiple scrams, or stack lots of points on you, and you're dead. And the argument for the PvPers is like, one person shouldn't be able to blah 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 from a small gang because that's not fair. And it's like, okay, you're missing the entire point, because you've never had, like, workforce stabs back in the day gave +1, and even Tech 2 didn't give +2. So when they made it an active, and you can only put 1 on the ship, you can only go to +2, right? You can't go to +3. Their Tech 2 does not go to +3, right? So one faction pirate scram, one faction scram, will stop any ship in its tracks. There you go, done. And it was just a needless nerf, and they thought it was, oh great, you can have way more blah blah blah, and it was just, why did you do this? There was no need. When you put 3, like I would put 3 workforce stabs on my prospects so I could mine ice and low sec, or was it endurance? I think it was endurance. Sorry, endurance. So I had on my endurance 3 workforce stabs, and that reduced my targeting range and my, well, I was only targeting icicles, so it didn't matter about the targeting speed, and yeah, it's just zoom. And you put that as low as possible, and you get as close to the roid as possible, which meant your avenues of getting away were less. And so if the pirate was smart, he'd know which direction you were traveling in, because guess what? Endurance doesn't have covert ops cloaks, and so you're praying to get away under cloak, but if they're on top of you, you've got one option, and that's to uncloak and warp. Hopefully you're aligned to your safe spot, or wherever you want to head to, because the system I was mining in didn't have any friendly bases for me to hide in, right? And I would use incursion bookmarks, where the incursion anomalies were set, the incursion beacons were set, which were way out past D-scan range. I would wait patiently for years until I could get good bookmarks, and that's what I did. And it was, you cloak up, and I was smart enough to cloak up before they landed on grid. I'd see them on local, see them on D-scan, know they just logged in at the ice belt. They'd warp in to 0 at the ice belt. I'd be already cloaked up. They wouldn't have an option. They'd try to go for one of my ships, but it would be, I'd be safe and I'd be cloaked up. They give up and log off and try again later. And that was the game. The Blopsers, with their battleships ready to just blops on a corvette, that was their game. They loved doing that. These are people who will camp gates for hours and think it's fun, and we denigrate them, but at the same time, I mine ice for hours. They would probably see that as the most boring thing in the world, and you know, it's one person's mining and it's another person's gate camp, right? Or I know friends who will sit at a station outside Undock and wait for hours, just logged in, just waiting there for the Care Bear to pop his head out so they can kill him. Yeah, it's like, you know, you think that's the most retarded thing in the world, but it's like, wait, you mine for hours, what's your problem? Or you do missioning for hours. I hate missioning, it's just repetitive bullshit, and once you know all the missions, it's just cookie cutter. So it's like, you know, it's just, they ripped out the core of what it meant to be. Like, they made it less safe. I could still do the same thing. I could still have fun in low sec, but I just have to give up the workforce stabs. that added layer of safety, and it just felt, what are you doing? There was no need to do that. It was an added layer of protection that it made me feel safer. I could go without it and just trust in my instincts. And sure, I'll lose a ship there, here, but that wasn't the point. The point was, I'm in low-sec mining ice. The only reason I'm in low-sec mining ice is because I don't have to watch the mind-numbingly stupid bots and insane multi-boxers, like 18-plus accounts, just come in with their Covetors and their Orcas and just mine out the high-sec ice belt and just move on, and they don't talk to anybody. They're just antisocial dipshits. I went to low-sec so I could mine for hours, having fun, in low-sec, cloaking up some of the time. But if it got to the point where I was cloaking up most of the time, I would go somewhere else. But I was a hard target. You made yourself a hard target. People would see you and go, oh, we're not even going to bother. We know he's, they'll see like 6 pilots in Barar and go, okay, that's definitely Muffinian's freaking mining team. We're never going to catch him. We'll try, but it'll just confirm that he's a hard target. It's hard to find, hard to kill. And that was the reputation it built. But to suggest that because botters were getting away with it's like, what? Why are you like? Here's the marketing bullshit. Oh, and this is what bad management does too. They will externalize all the responsibilities that they're in charge of. Like dealing with botters. Oh, we'll empower the players. Dealing with anything. Oh, we'll empower the players. Absolutely anything. Oh, we'll empower the players. And when it comes to the players making their power felt, oh, we'll just use them as an excuse to fire people back in 2012 or wherever Incarna happened, and we had that Summer of Rage, which I was unsubscribed to and didn't take part of, but I thought it was kind of silly that players would shoot at fireworks at a structure in Amar. And just, what? It was like, okay. It's they changed it. What they added in monocles in game, and you guys had a hissy fit. Then don't buy it. It's like it's like, why are we protesting? Because, right? It's just like, at no point at no point have we ever made player-made apparel. Period. Maybe the glimmer in somebody's eye, some player thought that CCP would do that. Possibly. I don't think so. Maybe. It just looked like skins that CCP would supply. Period. Anyway, so moving on. So it's just like, when it works against you, you will go, oh, well, no, we're in charge of that. You guys have to come to us about that. Don't. This protesting stuff. No, we'll use the CSM for that. Yeah, right. But when they don't want to deal with it and it works for them, oh yeah, player power will empower the player. Blah blah blah. And it's like, you just totally gimped Warp Core stabs for absolutely freaking everybody. Everybody. And you think that's empowering people to deal with botters? Right. Let me do the math here. In nullsec, the null bears who are botting are supported by the people who they are paying the landlords whatever it is they want. Oh, they're totally happy. They'd probably use it RMT payments to these people, And it's like, instead of going, hey, we're going to nerf part of the game, maybe you should crack down. Go, yeah, we don't support nullsec blocks who are renting these spaces to known botters. You are responsible. We're going to deal with you. We're going to hold you accountable to that. And they were like, no, that'll destroy the economy, blah, blah, blah. No, it's like, you will be known, hey, we have discovered these people are botters or suspected botters, or like, what? Why are they banning people for botting when they're just going to create something next week and come in again and do it and pay the same people, the landlords, the same amount? Why don't you start? These are known botters. We're banning them. They're obvious. You are responsible. We're going to deal with you people. But no, because the nullsec blocks are what CCP caters to. I know? So that's why they will empower these people to deal with it. And it's like just like marketing crap that has no clue about the entire ecosystem of Eve. And it didn't work in the beginning. It's not working. People aren't like, there aren't solo role players out there dealing with the botting challenge of hunting down these botting, they go rat with bots in nullsec sites for rats where they spawn, and it's just like encounter anomalies, and they just that's PvP, great, but the fact is you've got somebody botting with like ridiculous amounts of warpcore stabs on, and you're like, okay, so all it's going to take is 2 faction scrams and they're down. But no, you're going to be, oh, it's too hard. It's like, what? Where is the mindset that goes into thinking this? Like, just think about it. I mean, here you have landlords renting to known botters who are being banned all the time and just recreating accounts, and who are still paying the rent, and it's like, and these people are being protected in a space where people try to find content from these botters and are like, we can't catch them. And it's like, okay, so you whip in with a small team that just with tech 2 points, and you can't stop these guys getting away from you, and you whine, and that is the entirety of the decision making behind CCP going, oh, we're gonna nerf warpcore stabs. And it's like, it must have been somebody getting promotion, just simply thinking, oh, somebody probably came to them with an idea. Some nullsec block probably came to them on CSM and at the bar when they were drinking pints and just said, hey, so you want to empower people? Just, why don't you just make warpcore stabs active and just have +2 when you activate it? And that's all it took for a massive morale blow to everybody else who wanted to use warpcore stabs. And yeah, the people mount him because might as well just prayer in hell if somebody doesn't bump you, for Christ's sake. That's, when you're a noob, you think, oh, warpcore stabs, it'll save me. No, the main tactic of pirates in low sec is to bump you. If you're not in a blockade runner who can covert ops cloak and get the hell away regardless, you're not going to have too much fun when somebody approaches you at high velocity and bumps you, even if you try to do the cloaky trick, the MWD, the cloak MWD trick. Yeah, it's the cloak, and you've got a few seconds. You got less than a second to, half a second to press the MWD when you do that. Yeah, align, cloak, MWD, piece of cake. But yeah, experienced pirates will keep going for your location. Absolutely 100%. And they'll do it by orbiting close to you, because orbit keeps your speed up regardless, whereas approach, once they cloak and go out, you stop moving. Or they just double click in that direction because they're that freaking good. Their spatial awareness is that good. After, they do it for years. Duh. So yeah, I mean, it's just, this is just a nerf. But it was enough to just the morale hit of knowing that nullifiers can't be mounted on expedition frigates, corpses, or whatever. You can't sneak into nullsec. I never wanted to, but I was like, what if I could go into nullsec? But yeah, so why can't I wear equip nullifiers on my exploit? And it's just that the thought process goes, somebody in nullsec whine that the little guys are stealing the stuff. I can't do that. And it's just so much, absolute denigration of anything small gang. It's always pandering for the massive multi-boxers and the massive blobs in nullsec. That's it. They don't care. Their high-sec war deck system, once you experience the pirates in high-sec, you realize that the changes to the war deck system made it even more profitable to be a pirate, regardless of what you did. There has never, ever been an anti-piracy bias in CCP. It's always the opposite. And it's just... yeah, it's just sad. It really is. It's a saddled game that is dead, and that it was fun. It was a little bit too much fun back when they had the Jesus Christ, the nice in freaking HiSec. It was just like, what are you guys? I came back after a few years of unsubscribed, and I was like, what the heck? Why are there ABCs in freaking HiSec? It was just, what the? It was just a little bit OTT, way over the top. It was overpowered for sure. I was like, this is dumb. This is like, what the hell? It was a bit ridiculous, and I didn't understand why they did that. And the fact that Rorquals were just these power mongers of mining drones, and it was like, what the hell? What? It was supposed to be, what? It just, none of it made any sense. And as soon as they started announcing these changes are going to happen, I got rid of my HiSec Pathanors. There's no point. There's completely no point. My Aster houses were blown up in one fell swoop. I got amazing experience from that for how to defend against the small fry. But when somebody rolls in on you in paladins, like, I never understood why Black Flag were flying paladins back in the day. It was like, this is dumb. Why are they using it's because once you roll up in paladins, it's just basically game over for that Aster house or that Fortizar or whatever. It's just once you have enough of them, it's just a cakewalk. And people are using other ships than that, and I was able to counter. But once you land a paladin on grid with pulse guns, you can hit stuff out to 100 plus kilometers. Small frigates going super fast, or even with their MWDs turned off, or going at 4,000 meters per second. Zap, dead. Within a couple of shots, you're dead. And if they got enough of them, you're hosed. So it just, the ability, and then they announced a nerf to paladins. Coincidentally, a couple of months afterwards, and it was like, we're going to nerf a little bit. And I looked at it and like, can I apply it? Did this rejuvenate what I was trying to do? And absolutely not. It didn't touch the ECM one. It didn't touch the ability for pulse guns on paladins in siege to reach out and touch somebody going at 4,000 meters per second in a small frigate. Yeah. And it was just, oh, well, that didn't rejuvenate at all, but it was dead. The idea of being a nuisance to anybody who came and attacked you, a viable nuisance, was just, it's like everybody's going to use paladins now. It's like, it's just a meta now. And the meta before was the Triglavians. Triglavian and Nestor team, and just going with the Lashaks and Nestors, and then gank things, or something else, and just remote rep, and all the stuff. So it was like, okay, we got to deal with Guardians and shit like that, and Zarzamans. But once the Paladins came on the field, you couldn't do anything to annoy a big group or determined group using the new meta. And it was just, okay, great. So, unfortunately, yeah, it's this the game's obvious bias against asymmetric warfare is hard to spot, but once you spot it, you're like, oh, okay, well, I think I'll just enjoy the game. Like, I can still mine in low sec if I wanted. You know, I could mine ice in low sec right now if I wanted. Probably do it successfully, but the thing is, I go to low sec because it's fun, right? It's fun, and when CCP makes it less fun, like less safe, it's like, wait, why did you bother doing that? There was no reason to, and you have to go and wait. They did that for no reason, for reasons that don't work, for reasons that are just marketing, it sounds like, and for reasons that cater to the nullsec blocks, who everybody frickin' hates. Well, if they have their mind in the right place, they do. So it's like you're catering to people who are not us. You don't represent the vast majority of customers who enjoy playing the game. Instead of the F1 monkeys and null, you were just chomping at the bit to sit at a gate and gank things, and it's like you're catering to people who have only one mindset, who don't care about the game. They just want to go into tie-dye and get them, see record numbers of... I'm being pessimistic here. I'll try to close out. The happy place for Tritanium had always been 2.5. That's no longer the case. I'm happy it's not 5. But maybe it's the happy place is 4. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna make a conjecture that in the future the happy place for Tritanium will be 2.5. I mean 4 instead of 2.5, where it's been that way since pretty much for all time. It's too bad you can't see all time in this. It's a shame. There was a website that did that, Eve Market here, or something like that. You could go back to the beginning of time. It was fascinating stuff you could learn, just amazing. And unfortunately, the website went down. It's too bad. Anyways, yeah, Tritanium. Like, you got to think about it. It's like Tritanium in high sec and dense feldspar in high sec. The best to look for. There are some systems that are typically, like, every system in Eve is different. You go in a test server. Well, it's no longer, it's been down for 3 months. But I've made a video about it, and I've shown that consistently, absolutely, without a doubt, that each asteroid belt has an exact composition and an exact distribution. When they the November 2021, when they nerfed, they did that whole, we're bored with the quadrants thing. They made it so the asteroids were really, really big, and you could see that the distribution changed based on the size, and then you extrapolate it, you reverse engineered that to realize that I'll show you, might as well, right? I'll bring it up. Let's see now. I'll spare you all the searching and scrolling here. should be fairly easy. I'll show you right here. It should be fairly easy to find it on my channel. Go in here, you go to channel, playlists. Nope. Search, and you go asteroid flea. Try that, and you hit enter. Aesthetics reverted. Helix, and that was. It doesn't seem well thought out, especially because of the crappy deployment on Singularity. Luster F, that's... I'm just going to nuke the speaking here. I think I go to an actual asteroid belt. Yeah, see? Look at that. Crazy, huh? It looked awesome, actually. It looked Star Wars-ish. But they did it too... They made it 10 times the size. It's like, geez, could you just... And then they just reverted it back to default. And it was like, but it made it so cool. Could you just... Instead of the crescents that you saw, it was actually looked cool. And it was like, oh my god, this is awesome. But they just completely just way too big. And then they just went back to the way it was. And it was like, what? You had this brilliant opportunity to tweak it to lessen that massive effect that was just mind-boggling, and just lower it. So yeah, it was that. And that just looks like a normal, you go, oh, that's just a normal belt, but it's like, no, you go into Tranquility and it's a crescent. So it was awesome. But there are dents. There are systems in Eve that will have more dense titanium per asteroid belt than other systems in Eve, and you just go there to mine, and you find the systems that have the most dense feldspar per asteroid belt, and you just go mine those systems. And that was about as lucrative as mining high-sec clear icicle. It was. No, actually it wasn't. I think ice was half profitable as titanium, but you could sit there and not move and not switch targets forever, whereas in belts, strip mining wasn't really effective. So it was about the same profitability with the loss of efficiency, right? So it was just as much fun to mine ice as it was titanium, but it was more fun with ice. But the problem is you had to deal with the botters, and you're like, oh, Jesus. Or the multi-boxes, whatever, right? Suspension of disbelief. The botters aren't that obvious anymore. Like back in 2008, the botters were, their names would be garbage, and they made within seconds of each other, and you'd fire off the report to CCP and hope something would be done. And you just, why am I mining a system with garbage names in it in local and garbage ships next to me? Just, it was just so mind-boggling. And of course, I got really good at bumping back in 2008 because, they'd F off to somewhere else. And you'd be like, thank God for that. I don't want to mine ice next to somebody with a garbage, randomly generated name. And it wasn't even, it was just gobbledygook, word salad, letter salad. So, yeah, I mean, I have fun mining in any game, and I enjoy it. And thank God there's collision mechanics. Otherwise, yeah, Jesus. I go to low-sec to get away with that. Well, get away with that. I go to low-sec to get away from that. And it's enjoyable in low-sec. Why are you lowering the enjoyability of my playstyle of ganking my targeting range in order to be a little bit safer? Like, a little bit safer. Right? It was just such a... It's just, when you're playing a game and the developer does something for no reason that makes no sense, and there are for reasons we all know is bullshit, That's marketing crap, and somebody got a promotion for doing that. It's demoralizing. You go, I like immersion. I'll end with that. If you rewatch this video, which you probably don't want to, but if you filter it through the lens of immersion, of being able to put yourself in the game, suspend disbelief, and just immerse yourself in the game and enjoy it, there are ways to enjoy my playstyle mining that are immersive. That the reasons I go to low-sec is for immersion. It's way more profitable to mine high-sec ice and titanium than it is to mine anything in low-sec, because of the loss of efficiency when hiding from making yourself a hard target to PvPers who want content. You're providing them content, they're going to farm you. And yeah, it's more immersive for me to go to low-sec and enjoy the feeling of immersion. Whereas, yeah, and getting ripped out of my immersion by CCP, who believes apple oranges equals pears, is just, it's not immersive. They're trying to metagame the system, and not only that, they metagame the system with so much with lack of transparency, with lack of documentation, with everything, that it's just devastating. It was weird. There was an example of one, like, they get pissy when you accuse them of something, and I was really strong about the lack of documentation, and within a month they came out with the mobile observatory thing that was so well documented and so clear cut and so simple a mechanic that it was just mind-blowing. That, like, I read too much into it, but they had actually they came out with documentation that this percentage chance in the system every 10 seconds or something, and it's like for an hour, blah, and it's like totally, and they came out and said it. They didn't let anybody discover it or anything. It was just clear cut, documented, blah. And it was like, you did that in direct reaction to what I said. It's like, guarantee you, it was just like. And do you know why I think that? It's because one day when I was doing bug reports and I thought the system was working fine, I came to them with an issue. I had discovered, well, I'd probably rediscovered the wheel many times. I'm sure people would, well, you never know in Eve, right? Because it's just a game. Who gives a flying F about the mechanics? Just play the game, right? So I discovered that the Crime Watch mechanics of Eve, Crime Watch 2, prevents drones from engaging valid PvP targets who are engaging you. That's different than NPC reactions. Like a drone, you've got protection drones assisting or guarding in low-sec, say, in mining team, and the NPC rat will come on field. If you do it right, my swarm of, it was awesome. I'd have a system where I tweaked the metagamed the rats into attacking always one target, and everybody defended that target with the drones, and it was just this massive glob. It was awesome. And assisting as well, we got drone bunnies. We'd learned the drone bunny technique would work because, of course, nullsec had drone bunnies, and then incursions had drone bunnies. And we're like, okay, we'll use that for our guarding us. It was kind of silly because in low-sec you get enough bodies on field. No NPC is going to deal with you effectively at all, period. But it's fun, drone bunny, yay, have a little roleplay, right? Immersion, have fun. Different play styles, right? We thought it could translate to PvP. I discovered when I got attacked, I was like, watch this little PvPer, he's gonna, he's gonna go after my porpoise, which is defended by all my drones. He's gonna die instantly. The drones didn't do anything, and I was like, wait, this is a bug. And I say, wait, this is an exploit. And I was like, what did you do? And the guy had no idea what I was talking about. And I started discovering that, wait, I got friends to volunteer, and I was like, wait, you just attacked my guy that was defended by my drones, but you didn't get shot at. So unlike an NPC, and I was like, wait, this works in nullsec. We know Drone Bunny was invented by the nullsec blocks. It might have been invented, I don't think so. No, it wasn't. By the incursions. But I'm sure those drone bunnies were popular way before incursions were coded. Way back in the day. And we know that it works in nullsec. So I was like, okay, this is weird. So I tested it on nullsec. The drone actions towards PvP and PvE were exactly the same. They would attack, they would drone bunny, they would do everything you expected them to do against PvE targets, but not in low sec. And I was like, wait, I'll try high sec. Exactly the same. I think almost exactly the same as low sec. Low and high sec had the same attitude from the drones. And I was like, that's got to be Crime Watch. Crime Watch got to be involved. Or I think a knowledgeable person told me it's probably Crime Watch. And I was like, oh, right, of course. So it was Crime Watch. I had made a whole bunch of test videos testing out low, no, high. And I sent them all to CCP in a bug report saying, look, there's an issue here. And I was hoping they'd go, oh, well, we'll look at Crime Watch and maybe see if there's a way to enable PvP for drones in low and high reactions, right, for assist and defend. And I sent it to them, incredibly well worded, incredibly well documented. Within a month, they come out with that infamous fix for drones in PvP, and everybody rioted. And within 24 hours, they reverted it back to the way it was, and nothing has been done since. So from then on, I'm not sending them any bug report in an expectation of them handling it intelligently. Yeah. When they reverted that the asteroid belts back to the way they were, the crescent idiotic configuration, that was because that's the way they operate. They will just go totally overboard with something they totally don't understand. And then when they get bitch slapped, they just revert it. Like spoiled, petulant children with no idea how the game is played. Because, as you saw Ackman show Steve Jobs, they're run by, it's the people who are successful at these companies have, they don't care about the product anymore. They just see profit. And they don't care about the customers. They don't. Because they can't. Because their mindset is totally marketing, and they don't see it as anything but messaging. So, yeah. So next, I know it. Like, that's why I've given up doing price checks, because the consistency of price checks depend on longevity. If I can go a year without CCP fucking around with this system, and have a track record of, I've got yearly posts about the economy, this is improving and that's going down, this is improving next year, and we see a trend line, and it's predictable, and you go, oh, okay, well, we can see deeper into the mechanics of the game. But CCP loathes anybody who does that. If somebody comes out with documentation on something that's really good, they'll fuck with the system just to screw with it, because their mindset is nobody gets to know our our Lucky Charms, you know. They're after me Lucky Charms, and it's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so that's why I don't do price sticks anymore, because there's no ability to consistently build up a narrative where I can go back 10 years and go, yeah, back in the day I was doing videos about this, and I can match everything up and go, okay, well, this makes sense because of that, but they're just screwing with the system for no reason whatsoever other than marketing, with no idea how the game's played, and they just blurt out this stuff about, oh, conflict drivers, we understand conflict driving, we're going to improve conflict, we're going to drive conflict because we know exactly what, and it's just like, that's awesome, but the way you went about it was apples, oranges, pears, and that's not how the game works. And I'll close out, of course, still trying to close out, with EVE Offline, with showing you the Tranquility EVE Offline numbers. And as long as it stays above 20k, the game's fine. Oh, totally. Yeah, it's totally fine. And as it goes into December, it dips a bit. Or it dips predictably. Every year there's a predictable dip during school time or when people are going back to university and shit like that, right? It dips. And, yeah. As long as it's above, as long as it's always consistently going to 20k, the game's fine. The game will survive. That's the threshold. And I say that, it's because back in the day when I was playing Jumpgate, if we were at 20k to 2k, we were doing great, but we knew it had to be 10 times this in order to be sustainable. It was just, we're not going above 2k. The assholes are taking over the game. It was easy, and it applies to this game. The PvPers, the griefers, would brown nose so egregiously. And there was when the devs came into the game, they would go on a help channel, and that's where they would go. They would appear on a help channel, and that is where the griefers would be there, just to wait to kiss the ass of devs and promote their idea that PvP, aka ganking, only not other aspects of PvP, like, you know, when you're doing mining, you're taking away the mining of somebody else, and they get there and the mine asteroids is mined out. That's PvP. No. Their concept of PvP was PvP is the core, as in ganking is the core, griefing is the core. And they would kiss dev ass so badly, and devs would program the game or steer the game in the direction of these people, and it would be to the absolute destruction of the game, because people would look at that, the condescension of these griefer elitist pricks towards people actually asking help. They'd be like, oh yeah, get the battleship, and to a simple question, and it would just be so elitist that customers talk with their wallets. And when they're polite and back away from the crazy person and play another game, there's no metric for that. There's no metric of this person was unhappy, therefore they left. They just picked another game and played it. And that's an invisible metric that they don't look at. They don't go, oh, somebody was condescending in help channel, therefore that customer just went elsewhere, played another game. They don't have that metric. They don't measure that metric. They can't. It's impossible for them. So they never saw it, and they didn't care, because they're a bunch of dicks themselves, and CCP are too. I mean, you just look at the attitude of Hilmar when he was like, at the last fan festival, he was like, or maybe 2 fan fests ago, and he was like, yeah, no more we're not going to do NFTs ever in this game. Or no, we're not going to do NFTs in this game. And everybody cheered, and he said, yeah. And it was just like, he just literally had to say that. Like, he let the cheers happen, and he said, yeah. It wasn't like he was interrupted by the cheers. He expected it, and then he said, yeah, because he knew, for whatever reason, in his deluded mind, there are some people who want NFTs. And yeah, sure, there are. Especially the data miners that hang out at the bar he likes to go to. I'm sure the nerdy guys there are just selling him on the idea of NFTs on a daily basis, because that's cheap energy up there. That's where the data miners are for the cryptocurrency. It's just like, Jesus. But yeah, it's trendy, and he tried to get into it when it was trendy, and it's out of favor now, but he's still trying for it. You know, Hilmar, once he wants a shitty idea, he'll go with it. And yeah, I mean, they frittered away, like, I've said it before, and anybody still listening, probably listening because this probably either forgot it or first time hearing it. Hilmor's was a CTO, Chief Technology Officer, back in the day. And he took over CEO because nobody else wanted it. And he's now CEO. And Pearl Abbas, the contract, says they can't get rid of him. It's baked into the contract. And his whole shtick is fritting away the revenue that comes in from EVE Online on trendy little IPs that he wants to grow. Like, it's trendy IPs. Remember, he's a chief technology officer. That's his life. It's always been that way. So anything trendy and IP, he wants in on it. And that was Incarna. That was ripping programming time away from World of Darkness, role-playing game that was walking people, walking. So that was the programmers working on EVE instead, because he can't help himself. He wants record articles in Pizza Gamer about EVE Online, his little baby. But at the same time, he's got little trendy IPs going away, but it was just madness. The article that leaked that talked about the sweaty meetings that would go on. The person who would yell the loudest got the squeaky wheel. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. And that was CCP's meetings. That's what their management style was. It's just horrendous. And of course, you think that wasn't the reason that they got rid of their walking stations, and you think the players in game shooting fireworks at this meaningless statue next to a Mars station was the reason? The reasons weren't them leaking, people leaking idiotic internal memos denigrating the customers. No, it was because basically Hilmor and co hyped that up. Like, of course it was embarrassing, but they hyped it up in order to hide the fact that they had shitty IPs. Anyway, so I'll close